Friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into another machine on the VulnHub, which is healthcare. The link will be put in the description section below so that you can download it and play it on your own. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Now, let's get started. We can head over to Linux to begin with. First of all, we need to discover the IP address of the target machine. The utility I'd like to use, as always, would be netdiscover. Alright, as you can see over here, the IP address of the target machine could be recognized as 253. So what shall we do next? We need to perform port and self scanning with a map. To save time of this video, I've already completed before. So now we can get out its result. As you can see over here, I took the options like scene scan, the default script scan, the virtual scan, and then full range port scan. The last option for all is ON to output the result into this file. Although you can notice here, the IP address has been changed since I re-imported the target machine into the VirtualBox. So different IP address has been assigned to the machine by internal DHCP server of VirtualBox. But as you know, this will not affect our application process. From the Nmap scanning results, we can tell that the target machine has two open ports. The first one is 21. Surface is FTP. And also we can get its version information, including the version number. But with this default scripts scanning option, we can know the target machine doesn't allow anonymous FTP login. Let's move on. The second port number is 80 and the surface is HTTP surface or hypertext transfer protocol. And also we can get its version information, including the version number. And also from this line, we can know the target machine or target site has robots file available or accessible, which contains 8 disallowed entries. So, a bit too many entries. We can utilize Python to help us our work on this part, okay? So what shall we do next? First of all, we need to check whether the version of FTP is vulnerable or not. And the utility I'd like to use is Searchsploit. And followed by the version number. However, no results. So what can we do next? We need to enumerate the web application both manually and automatically. Let's fire up the browser to perform manual enumeration first. We can put the IP address of the target machine into the address bar. Press enter. So we got this site loaded and coming soon. Our website is under construction. Although here there is input box, but actually this link is not effective at all, okay? Subscribe, we cannot get anything. And also, as usual, we need to check its source code. As we know, sometimes source code can leave or we can find something valuable, such as credentials or hidden directories or files. We can scroll down to the bottom. Unfortunately, we can't find any such information in this case. So next, we need to access the robots file. Okay, as we know from the Nmap scanning, the target site has robots file available. Oh, we need to refresh. So here, there's some kinds of description about this site, but our focus should be entries of disallow, okay, or disallow. It means that such directory would be disallowed, okay, by the, by the protocol, okay. Of course, as a pen tester, will not follow such protocol. So if you manually walk through all entries, this will take a bit long time. Instead, I'm going to use Python to, enumerate those directories. But before we do that, we need to extract, these lines, okay, which contain the valid entries in terms of directory. So how to do? Let me use a Q, and I think we can specify the URL robots, and with S option or silent, so we will not get verbose message displayed. Okay, so let's press enter. So we got this content of robots file back from the machine. I want to extract these lines, so we can use grep disallow, press enter again. But I also want to, discard this line. So how to do? We can use the grep, and we can use the expression option. So starting from hash tag. Okay, press enter. So now this is what we want. But I'd like to discard the disallow. So how to do? We can use AWK and curly brace print the second column. Okay, press enter. And now we can save to file like there's text. Okay, next I'm going to launch interactive Python, and we can import requests module, and we need to, maybe we can, we can open the files with read-only mode, and we can for line, the for loop to iterate this file, okay, which contains entries, directory entries. So we can call its method read lines. So URL equals to the base URL line strip, because we need to strip or delete space in the end. Okay, and also we can print something like trying to access URL. And next we can print out, we need to send or submit a request to the web application. So response equals to requests get method URL. And if also we can print out response status code. If response status code equals to 200, it means that the request is successful. Then we can print out its source code. Okay, and we can use its one-off attribute text. And also I'd like to print separator between each different request. Okay, press enter. So now we can retrieve all entries, all directories at one time within under maybe 1 second. Okay, so it will be very fast. Let's scroll up. So the status 404. So I think the only valid URL is the, the root address or root URL. Okay, so now we can exit from Python environment. So what can we do next? We need to use Nikto to perform automatic enumeration. CGI bin, maybe we need to access this common gateway interface. We can copy, press enter. So it worked. But I don't think we can exploit this for our purpose. Okay, so next I'm going to launch Gobuster to perform directory enumeration. Okay, although Gobuster can discover some directories or files like images, but none of them can be of help to us. Okay, from the perspective of penetration, for example, images access forbidden because of the status code 301. Actually, this word list, when I did the machine, I tried several word lists. And so this is the reason why I mention over and over again in my channel. Sometimes we need to try or combine different word lists, okay, until we can find the one which can work for us, okay. So I'm going to interrupt here because I'm going to change word list to another one. This one is located in seclists directory, discovery, web content, and directory lowercase big. Okay, press enter. This is going to take a bit of while, so let me pause the recording. See you later. I'm back after a little long time. Anyhow, we have already found this directory, OpenEMR. We can copy and go back to the browser. Press enter. So this is another CMS. Maybe EMR stands for electronic medical record. And even we can get its version information. Before we try to use common username and password to log in, we need to check whether this version of CMS is vulnerable. Let me bring back the terminal window and use Searchsploit followed by the keyword of surface. Indeed, this version is vulnerable to SQL injection. Even we can get its Python exploit code. And next I'm going to copy this exploitation code from original source to current working directory, and we can use the same command but with M option. And now we can use Vim editor to open up. I think we need to change the IP address of the target machine. So this case is 253. And extract usernames and try to build the payload. And the payload will be sent to the target machine. Extract users. Okay, so now I think we can write and quit and run this exploit code. We can press enter. So now it's finding number of users. Found the number of users. So there are 2 users in total. Now it's extracting username and password hash. So let me go back to the browser. Let me try to check whether we can use login bypass technique to sign in. Okay. Hyphen, and space. Password, we can put anything. Login. But I don't think this payload can work. Okay. Sometimes we need to try different payloads of login bypass. And GitHub has, sorry about this. GitHub has very good resource. So login bypass payload, GitHub. And even I've already made a video on how to use Python to, to test this payload. The payload contains a lot of payload, 77 payloads. If you manually, try with this payload, this will be very time consuming. So I think I've already made a video on how to use Python to automate this process. But anyway, this case is not necessary because there is exploit available. And now I think it's working because it's extracting the username and followed by the encrypted password. This will take a bit long time, maybe several minutes. So it will be better to pause the video again. All right, as you can see over here, this exploit, or we have already used this exploit to extract a domain and its corresponding password, corresponding encrypted password. And now it's trying to get back another user or the second user. Usually a domain will have higher privilege than others. So I think in the meantime, we can try to use John Ripper to crack it. Okay? We can save this encrypted hash to hashes, and then we can launch the John Ripper to crack it. Okay? Because I think I've already made such a cracking before. So now we can use the show option hashes. And this is the clear text password. So now we can copy and log in to this CMS, OpenEMR. Okay? The username is a domain. And the password, paste in here, login, and it's successful. And there's some, functionalities like a patient. We can manage a patient, client. Also can manage or create a visit, records. But our job next is to find locations where we can upload our web shell, right? So usually should be living in administration. Even we can find files, very clear. And here we can add a message. But on the top you can see we can find the the file like the template file. So I'm going to remove original code because I'm going to replace this code with our web shell, okay? And I've already got this PHP web shell ready. Now we can copy this code completely. Okay, copy, selection, and paste over here. And if you scroll up, you can get its location, right? We can copy, paste over here. Now I'd like to set up listener on the Linux, waiting for collection. Let's up or save this file. Save. Now I'm going to access this updated config file, okay? And I'd like to copy this address from my notebook and followed by the name config, not a shell, config php. Press enter, and as you can see we have already got shell from the target machine. Fantastic. And I'd like to spawn stable shell by Python. Python 2 is available. Then we can import pty module, spawn bash, and also I'd like to define environment variable term. Then we can clear screen whenever to get a bigger space on the window. Term, xterm, this doesn't work. Interesting. Maybe, I can copy. I need to use Google to confirm whether I made a mistake. I think it's correct, but this doesn't work, which is acceptable. So now we cannot run. Now I'd like to navigate to home directory. 3 normal users in total, and then we can get the user flag without any difficulty. So how about medical? But nothing here. How about MySQL? So next, I'd like to run sudo, also ID. As you know, I'm gathering information about this machine to find interesting information, or to be more specific term, accurate term, vector, which can help us to elevate privilege, okay? Sudo. No, then we can use a find command to look for files with permission for thousands, and the type is file rather than directory, and redirect all error to this special now device. Find and perm. Oh, sorry, I misspelled the type. Now, so now it's trying to look for binaries with SUID bit. Yeah, this one caught my attention most. And I don't think this is a standard binary of Linux. So now let's run it to see what it's about. Health check. So, we got some output by this command. So it looks like this part is from ifconfig, and this would be the disk usage. So also I can use the strings command to retrieve all readable characters. Health check which strings. Strings user bin health check. So I think this command or this binary, when we run this binary, at the back end we'll run like echo, but also we'll run ifconfig and also fdisk. So the point here is this command, also this command and this command is not in absolute path. So I think we can take this weakness or misconfiguration to elevate privilege. So how to do? We can navigate to temp directory, create our own ifconfig command. Okay, echo bin bash ifconfig, but we need to make it executable. And also we need to update environment variable path. And then we can run this customized binary health check. Okay, so it's scanning. So no such files. Interesting. ifconfig. I think the problem is caused by extern. So maybe so echo. So I think we can exit from the current session. Okay, exit, no problem, and connect it again. Now this time ifconfig, and also I'd like to get the path variable, so we can export path temp directory, and then we can run it again. Health check. The ID, yeah, now we have already become root user. Beautiful. Then we can grab the root flag with the bye. Have a nice day, please.